Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, I wanted to talk on being a good manager, because I know for some businesses and organizations and jobs and anything else that requires a good manager, for some people, it might just be hard for them to be a good manager. They think that they gotta be strict, they gotta be, not even so much as strict, but they just have to act a certain way because they feel like that they need to have some sort of, like, I don't want to use the word ownership, but they want to have some sort of, like, power over you and stuff, to where it's kind of like that, like an ownership type power. And I'm going to just let any manager out there know, you do not own your employees, okay? You can be cool with them. You just got to try, all right? And no, the reason why I say that is because, so at the my old job, the cafe that I used to work at, the man that had hired me to work there, honestly, in my opinion, the ideal manager. Like, if there is a bar to set on being a manager, it is that man that hired me on. From the first minute I met him all the way to the last interaction I had with him, it had been nothing but good, okay? Nothing but good. And it honestly, it trips me out that there's not enough managers like him. Because, and I have to say, the reason why I think he was so good at his job is because he worked in, like, the field. He didn't just go straight to management. Like, he worked in the field, like, where, what we were doing. Like, he went and he did cashier stuff. He helped out the cooks and the chefs. What other things would he do? Like, anything, and of course, being a manager. So when I think of a bar to set with, like, being a manager, I guess, like, speaking for myself, like, if I had to have, like, okay, like this, what type of manager do I want to be? Do I want to be one of those managers where I'm not friends with nobody? Do I want to be cool with my employers? I want to be cool with my employers. I don't want them to get to a point where they feel like they need to quit because of me. I want them to quit because, oh, I'm moving, or I found me a better paying job, or whatever the situation is. But I don't want it to be where it's like, oh, I quit that place because of management. Maybe some other managers, but I'm trying to be that manager where they're like, you know what? I might have not liked any of those managers, but that one with the YouTube channel, nah, he was cool. He's a cool dude, okay? But I just felt like that's how it has to be. Because honestly, if you sit down and think about it, and I feel like that you have to know that you're a bad manager. You have to know that. That's not something where it has to be told to you. You have to know that you're a bad manager. So when I hear, like, where managers, where they're like confused on, oh, well, I don't know why they quit. They quit because of you. That person quit because of you. You have to understand that. You have to accept that. And if you are wondering, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do? Honestly, it's things like that where it's like you need to record yourself, all right, and then just play back, all right, play back that whole day. And if you find nothing wrong with what you have did, bro, then yeah, it's like either way, whether you see it or the thing is this, your employees see it. They see how you act. And if that's enough for them to quit, fam, then you're a bad manager. So that's just something that you have to accept. Now, how can you go from being a bad manager to a good manager? Help. That's the one thing that you can do, is help out your employers. Now, it might be on some stuff where the ship has already sailed and they don't want no help from you, but still, okay, there are ways, all right, where you can get back onto that ship, all right, whether you gotta swim, steal a boat, do whatever. do whatever you need to do, all right? But there are ways of getting back on that ship, all right? So I'm just gonna let you know. So it's just don't give up because you think like, oh well, the ship has already sailed. We have beef amongst each other and stuff. So I don't think it's gonna work out. No, it can work out. Get them gifts, give them extra $20 or something. I don't know, but it's just do things to get on their good side, because that's honestly, and the thing is this, the old manager, or the manager that hired me on, he didn't give me gifts. He just showed from day one that even though he's my manager, we're friends, okay? And I feel like that when you have like put that out there, that it's like we're cool with one another, fam, what could go wrong? So, and I just want to overall talk on that real quick, where the interview where I had with the manager that hired me on. So I showed up there, all right? And I think with any interview, you're going to be slightly nervous or all the way nervous and things. But anyways, I'll admit, I was a little nervous because the past previous interviews that I had been a part of where they won Chipotle didn't hire me because I didn't know about their back history. And I'm like, nobody knows about your guys' back history. All that we know is that you guys sell burritos. That's all that a person cares for. Selling burritos and making money off of selling those burritos. That's it. That's all that. It ain't like somebody's going to come in there and they're going to start questioning me about the history of Chipotle and stuff. I'm like, nobody ain't there for that. If a person comes into Chipotle and they're ordering all these different items, they're hungry. How a food business got started is not running through their head. All right. So carrying on like that, like being a manager, carrying on like that and stuff, even in the interview process. Yeah, that might not be, because I have yet to eat at Chipotle, but I just know that if I am going to eat at a Chipotle, I want to eat at the one that started it all right? Since it's such a big idea to know about it, yeah, I want to go there and eat, because I'm like, then that they must be the place that got the best burritos and stuff. But anyways, all right, I've talked on my Chipotle story a few times, so I just remember where so he was a little late to the interview and stuff, because after like seeing him in action working and stuff, yeah, I can see why he's late, because this man is running from 3 different locations, okay? And not like I'm saying like they were all within the area, but he's having to like just run cross streets, go back and forth to make sure everything is working at one location, make sure everything is working at another location, so he can have time for this interview and no stuff doesn't happen, because there might be a day where a manager is not there. He might be the only one there. So yeah, he's running all over the place. So I'm like, hey, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, man, take all the time that you need. I will sit here and I will wait. Because you know why? We have cell phones, okay? So if it gets to a point, bro, I just open up social media, like a couple of tweets, like a couple of photos. I'm chilling until I see him. Now I'm like, okay, phone back in pocket, firm handshake. Now let's do this interview. But anyways, so he was running a little late. And I remember it was the one cashier. It was funny because it was the one cashier that I ended up having problems with, and she might as well have been the catering manager. I mean, she was, in my opinion, she was like because it's like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody else that worked in catering, but I had to say she was like number 1 on the list of like top catering people, okay? Because she was just chilled, all right? So, but anyway, so I remember it was the cashier that I had problems with, and then the caterer. She might as well have been the catering manager, but they both at different times approached me and was all like, hey, would you like anything? And then I think it was it might have been, was it the catering manager? It was one of them that gave me some popcorn and water. Odd combo, but hey, I'll take it. Okay, I'll take it. Popcorn is good. I would prefer, at the time being, I was like, I would have preferred like, a soda in a movie and things, because I'm like, I guess, yeah, popcorn and water and stuff. So anyways, so then eventually the manager, he the one that hired me on, he shows up. We're sitting there talking. He's explaining the place to me and stuff. And then it just got to a point where it was like, I said what I needed to say. He said what he needed to say. Then we were just sitting there just casually talking. We were talking about our personal lives. He asked me about YouTube. I think we started talking about his family and stuff. And I think when you are just sitting there just talking and you're starting to kind of understand this person and things, and it's like, okay, well, what could possibly go wrong? So anyways, then he walked me to the elevators, and I think he did say that he was gonna call me in for a second interview and stuff. And so it wasn't even an interview. Like, he was just showing me around the place. Like, it was just like, hey, so this is what you're gonna be doing. You're gonna be going over here doing this, gonna be going over there doing that, all these other different things. And so so at that point, it was like I knew I had the job, all right? And again, being super chilled with me. Then once when I got hired on, it like that first week, I'll admit, mad stressful, all right? Mad stressful. But I had him by my side. So it wasn't as stressful, but I'm telling you, like with that, trying to learn all these different things, getting into it with the one cashier, sometimes getting into it with the supervisor, and then dealing with crazy customers at the time being, I was like, bro, I was ready to go. I was like, bruh, I don't want to be here no more if I got to deal with this. But then eventually, as the time progressed on and I got used to it, I was like, man, it felt weird when I had to like leave the place when the pandemic had started, because I was like, if the pandemic would have would have ended like how people were saying that it was going to end in like April something, I would have went right back to that place, no problem. Still probably would have been working there till this day. So like that's what like really had tripped me out, was just like at the time being. But that's what was like running in the back of my mind. It was just kind of like, motivating me to like go back to that place and just kill it there and stuff, was that manager. Because once when I started like fully working there, and then just seeing him in action, bro, this man will go in the office, do, manager stuff, be on the computers, ordering things, creating new menus, all that stuff, go out, help the cooks and the chefs, prep up some food, comes, cleans his hands, all that stuff, make sure, he ain't got no sauces or anything, because it could get messy back there in that kitchen. I know there have been times when I had kind of helped out some chefs and cooks, and yeah, it could get messy and stuff. So there was at times where they, the customers, they look at me and they'd be like, were you working on some? I'm like, yeah, I was kind of helping out a little bit and things. Or it was like, me and some of the cooks will get into a food fight. I'm telling you, that place was crazy at times. But anyways, but he'll like go and help out the cooks and the chefs, come out, help out on some cashier stuff, go around, stock up shelves, fill up food areas and stuff, like the salad bar, deli area, he'll fill that stuff up. Then like towards the end of the day, he's helping me stock up shelves. I'm saying like this guy was just going around doing everything. And it honestly, like when I seen that, it motivated me. It really did motivate me, because I was like, hey, yo, if he can do it, then I can do it. All right. So then at that point, it was like, it was just like that every single day until it was his last few days working there. And bro, I'm telling you, like it was sad. I was all like, the other manager, because it was funny. He introduced everybody to the other manager, and I was like, she was chill too. But I was like, I'm sorry, but and I think I even had said that to her face. But that was the thing though. Even me and her, we became cool with one another. And at first it was a little bumpy and things, but that was the thing though, where it was like she had like this strict personality and stuff, where it was like, things gotta get done. Things got to be perfect. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like it has to get done. And I understood that. And then instead of like, oh, well, I ain't going to talk with her, I ain't going to be chill with her, I cracked jokes with her. Always was cracking jokes with her. And it got like, and even I just remember where it was like, no, this is a manager where it's like she was probably she was the only manager, because the other the manager that hired me on, I don't think he's heavily active in the social media. But no, like she was at one point, and I remember I follow her, and she knew about me, YouTube. I wasn't afraid to share with what I had talked about, and I even had told her Where yeah, I was like, no, that dude, homie was my favorite manager. I'm like, I'm sorry to to break that news to you that you didn't win that award of best managers in TMossBoss's brain. But no, I did tell her though, like I had to say she was like second to this manager and stuff, because like the other managers, like there was one guy, he was chill, but it wasn't like he only had worked there for a short period of time and stuff. He ended up he was going through some things, and I just remember he showed up like one last time, and it wasn't too pretty and things, but no, like overall though, it was just yeah, it was like the like management, I had to say, like from them two, it was chill. And then talking on the other managers, yeah, there was at times where it was just they would do things and say things, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if you're trying to get on my good side, but it's not working. I'm like, you lucky it's kind of hard out in Washington to get jobs, because I'm like, and I think that's what was running through the back of my mind and why I had stayed at that place until it closed down, was because I remember my previous interviews, okay? It seems like it's hard to get jobs. And what else? I'm like, and then it's, I'm not trying to get no job that's not paying as good, because this cafe was a really good paying job and stuff. So yeah, I was like, even when I had was telling my family about it, especially my parents, they was all like, bruh, when I was at that age, I wasn't making that type of money and stuff. Like, what kind of job do you got? I'm like, are you sure you're a cashier? Are you the owner of the place? Like, how much money? So it was a good paying job. And then I was like, I really don't want to throw that opportunity away. So I'm like, okay, ruin my money or deal with management. I'm like, so yeah, I guess I'll just deal with management. But no, I mean, like, there were times, I remember it was right after the manager that hired me on. It was right after he had left. And I remember when, like, the one manager, he was, like, there, but he didn't really, the thing is this, if he hears this, he hears it. But I'm going to straight up and just say it. He didn't do a whole lot, okay? He didn't, all right? Unless he was just doing things while I wasn't looking and was giving off, like, 5-star performances, when I wasn't there. But I only had took 2 days off. So it was like, bro, what do you, I'm confused. So it's like, cause no, that was the thing though. It was like people, they will always want him to be at a certain location. So it'll be like, if I go to another location, they'll be looking at me all like, man, I wish he'd go to one of the other locations and stuff. And then it'll be the same conversation. So he was just running around or just being in the office, just sitting there doing random stuff and things. But anyways, I remember one of the first crazy interactions I had with him. No, actually, you know what? No, it was funny because I remember the manager that hired me on had told me and was all like, yeah, such and such was trying to fire you. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? What have I done? I'm like, I haven't even done nothing to him. I haven't even had no conversations or even talked with them. I'm like, bro, like, what's going on? What did I do? And so then that's when he told me, he was like, he thought I was showing up late. And so instead of just asking me what time I had to clock in or even checking on some computer, or even there is a piece of paper that will show you like, hey, you're supposed to clock in at this time and stuff. He didn't see any of that. So it would have been mad weird to me if he had just approached me and said, you're fired for showing up late. Here's the funny thing. I showed up early every day. And when I did show up late, it was maybe like a few minutes before. So I still was like early, or I think I would be like right on time. I think it might have been one time when I might have been like a minute or two late. Out of the 4 years I had worked there, and out of 4 years of showing up to that place early every day, when I would be going through it, when I would be broke, because I swear I have my depressing mornings, I have my angry mornings, I have my mornings where I just don't even feel like doing nothing. I had so many difficult mornings, but I still showed up to work early every day in a completely different city on top of that, from where I from where I even lived and from where I worked. So I was like, bro, what are you talking about? But no, that wasn't it. So it was right after the manager, he ended up finding a better paying job. So I remember where we were kind of like bumping heads a little bit, me and this manager. And I remember instead of walking up to me and handing me these box of mints, he goes and walks over to the area where the box of mints needed to go to. So he could have just easily just put the mints in the cabinet, right? And then just left it at that. No, he goes and carries the mints all the way to the area where they needed to be at, throws the mints down on the floor, and he makes eye to eye, four eyes to four eyes, because we both wore glasses, four eyes to four eyes contact with me. And he looked me dead in my face and said, hey, put these box of mints away. And then was just standing there staring at me. So it was funny because the supervisor, she was kind of, you know how like tumbleweeds where they just kind of just be flowing and stuff. And then, she was that tumbleweed, but she froze. Okay. Like literally the world froze. All right. Because you can see the anger in my eyes. And she knew that I wasn't moving from that cash register. She knew, because guess what? She was all. The funny thing is like with black people, you can tell when a black person, without even saying anything, you can tell what they're about to do. And she knew that I was not moving from that area. So she looks at him and was all like, I'll put him away. I'll put him away. And then eventually he walked off. But he should have known that wasn't going to happen. He should have known. I was like, and it's just, it tripped me out that he was carrying on like that. I mean, he even would do like other petty things where it's like, he'll like say like, oh, you ain't doing this correctly. You ain't doing that. I'm like, bro, you're not doing nothing. I'm like, so I'd rather be getting told that I'm not doing something correctly than to be told I'm not doing anything. It's like, bro, come on, man. It's like, get out of here with that. But eventually it did get to a point where, we were cool with one another. Cause I remember, it was funny because I remember I had told them, I actually told all the managers that where I got into it with a customer. So me and this customer, we will bump heads too. But so anyways, he's taking his sweet, precious time. I've seen this man walk fast literally everywhere, bro. Everywhere. I could have sworn even one day I seen him like run across the street. But either way, all right, let's just say at the pace that he was walking, if he would have been walking like that to cross the street, I guarantee and promise you he got ran over by a car, bus, truck, something. Okay, but so anyways, he is walking. I mean, freaking Gary the Snail from SpongeBob moved faster than him, bruh. All right, move faster than him. And he is a whole human being. But he is taking his sweet, precious time to walk into the elevator. So I kind of gave him a stiff forearm. I gave him a little boost. I gave him a little boost to, to walk into the elevator because the doors were closing. I'm like, I'm not trying to. The elevators did take a while to show up at that place, but I'm not trying to wait. So I gave him a little push into the elevator and stuff. And I felt like I could just feel him staring at me because it wasn't like he couldn't feel it. Like you can feel. I got bony arms, bruh. So you gonna feel a bony arm when it sticks you in the back and it, pushes you into the elevator and things. So I know, but I told him and I was all like, yeah, there's this customer. And I'm like, look, I'm just letting y'all know. I pushed this customer in the elevator. He was taking too long walking in. All the managers started cracking up laughing. I was like the catering manager, even the manager that I was bumping heads with, they threw the mints down on the floor. Everybody just started cracking up laughing because that was the thing. It went from an interaction like that with a customer to like, and this was like all throughout the years I had been working there. Customers will always tell me or managers or somebody that I was one of the dopest people that worked there. So you're having all these different customers saying all these good things about me to me coming in 7 a.m. saying that I just pushed the customer into an elevator because he was taking too long. Yeah, they didn't even trip about it. They was all like, they said, whatever. Anyways, went back to their normal day-to-day stuff, and then they left it at that. I didn't get no emails. I didn't get nothing because there was probably even his friends and coworkers would be all like, oh, that Tyler cashier, he's such a nice person. No, he is such a dope person and things. So yeah, that's why I was like, I'm not even tripping about it. I'm not even worried about it. If that customer, if he had like some true legitimate problems and issues with me, he would have probably been emailing. He had went up to the place, straight up pulling like some male Karen stuff. Yeah, I definitely would have. I have been hearing about that still to this day. I probably would have had a loss. I probably would have been in prison. I had been in prison for pushing an employer of the store that he worked at. Yeah, I probably would have been in prison and stuff. So. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, hey, it was, I was lucky and stuff, but I'm saying though, but like, I feel like that even with something like that, where it's like, okay, we know that these customers, they can sometimes be racist. rude and just, overall just being weird and stuff. So it's like, cause if my employee, if he told me that, I'm sitting there probably grabbing that same bag of popcorn and water, eating it. I'm like, so whoa, wait a minute, go back. Cause I'm gonna need to, like, what is the backstory behind you guys? I'm sitting there, I'm like, no, you clock in at some point, but you gotta tell me this story first. And so, yeah, but I feel like that's a good manager. That's a manager where it's like, you're sitting there listening to your employers as they are telling you about their personal lives, their day, the work day, whatever it is, you're listening to them. You're accepting their request on things where it's like, hey, we need another cashier. All right, cool, dope. Or, hey, we need more of this. All right, cool, dope. Hey, we should start doing this from now on. All right, cool, dope. Let's do that. I'm like, let's change it up a little bit. But it's like, on some stuff where it's just, there ain't no good communication going on between you and whoever your employer is. That's why I'm like, if you find yourself one day looking up and you're just seeing the man, because besides myself, besides Jack, besides who else? But no, it was like, I had to say it was pretty much me and Jack. We were really the only ones that had been working, because he started working there a year after. Was it a year after me or the 2018? He started working there at some point. I think it might have been that very next year. And I had to say, me and him were like the longest running cashiers, but like every other cashier, cook, and chef, at some point in time, they ended up leaving. So it was like, and then it was the manager, and so it was like so it was me, the one manager that I had beef with, where it was like, we had been working there the longest, but other than that, it was like every other cashier, cook, they was gone at some point. So yeah, that's why I'm like, bruh, like, if you guys, I'm telling you, as a manager, all right, you got to do right by your employees, because if not, like I said, you're going to find yourself in the situation where you're going to do the wrong thing. Because no, it was, even with this manager, there was at times where people did get in his face. I thought a couple of times I was going to, especially that mint incident, I thought I was going to have to get in his face about some stuff. But no, there was a couple of times where some people did get in his face about how he carried on. And it's like, hey, homie, you going to have to relax. Okay, you going to have to calm yourself down, all right? Because you getting very out of character, all right? So relax, chill, calm yourself. It's like, because you need to understand, it's all like a person, a cat, or is somebody, the thing is this, it's somebody that is careless. They don't care about what happens to them at the end of the day. You can threaten to arrest this person, right? You can threaten to call the cops on them. If they're one of those careless people that is on their second strike and it is a Wednesday morning and they're like, you know what? I want to get my third strike today. They're literally starting with you. So you can just say the wrong thing so they could just dive on you, bruh. I'm saying, managers, be careful of your employees, all right? Because there's a lot of them where they're not like mentally stable, okay? They're full blown crazy, okay? Like, they are the human version of zoomies, okay? So I'm just saying, like, y'all gotta relax and chill. But yeah, there was a couple of times where a cook, and I'm trying to think who it might have been. Oh no, I think it was the dishwasher. It might have been more than a couple of times, but no, I just remember hearing it where a cook had got in his face. And I think that cook, they had him a little worried, and she she wasn't no joke. She was one of those people where it was all like, you know what, I wouldn't even say anything or do anything to get her upset. She was cool with me, but I think that's why, because I feel like at jobs, like, usually black people, they kind of stick with one another and stuff. So I think it was just by default. I don't know. It was just one of those things. She was chill with me and stuff. So. But yeah, it's just, people, you guys gotta just do right by your employers, all right? And I think, everything should be okay. So, But anyways, and that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. If you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on a podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. Make sure you subscribe to one of my 46 YouTube channels. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram at TMossBoss. And make sure you follow my Facebook page at TMossBoss fan page. Also, if you are purchasing any tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock $20 off of your first purchase. And if you are purchasing any energy drinks or sleep drinks from Poggers, make sure you go check out Poggers. Use my promo code TMossBoss. It will knock 10% off your next purchase. I don't know why I did that Poggers promo so weird. But anyways, moving on. And if you're purchasing any controller accessories from Fatal Grips, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss, and that will also knock 10% off your next purchase. I can't remember if I said $20 off or 10% off for Poggers, but if I said $20 off, I meant 10% off. It's not $20, all right? So anyways, again, if you want to find any more information about SeatGeek, Poggers, or Fatal Grips, you can go to my Twitter account. Their usernames are in my bio section. And yeah, and that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and for listening, and peace.